Good day. My name is Joe Borzelleca, and with my wife Ellen Brock, I live in beautiful Zach, Virginia. We are fortunate to have 132 acres out here, about half in pasture and half in the woods. The forest was selectively timbered in the mid-1990s, and the pasture has been rotationally grazed for the past 12 years. Prior to that, it was grazed by a gentleman who had too many cattle for the acreage and did nothing to maintain the health of the pasture. No mowing, no treatment of invasives, no soil testing and amending, nothing. But as a city boy who thought cows eat grass and have a nice day, I didn't know any better. We are fortunate to have plenty of water on this land. We front Walker's Creek, which disastrously overran its banks in a flood in 1995, so it is now wider and more shallow. It runs into Hayes Creek and then into the Maury River and on into the Upper James. Additionally, we have 3 seasonal creeks, a spring that feeds water to the house, and a vernal pond below the house. When we first moved here, I was distressed at what the cattle were doing to the areas around the seasonal creeks and the spring head, turning them into mud pits, and it was then that I learned about the CREP, the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, through the Department of Agriculture and the State Department of Forestry. This cost share program plants forest buffers around water, and as part of protecting that planting, helps construct fencing, cattle crossings, troughs, anything needed to keep the pasture functional while protecting the water. The fencing contractors around here are all familiar with the reimbursement schedules for the CREPs, and in the end we were able to plant about 9 acres of trees almost for free. While we are delighted to have been able to plant about 1,500 trees, it's been challenging to get them up and keep them going. Our biggest challenge has been deer. They run over the tubes, they tear out the saplings, they browse off the tops when the trees first emerge from the tubes, they rub the bark off them with their velveted horns during the rut. We have thus far no good answers about how to keep them from doing such damage. Occasionally coyotes scare them off for a while, but this is their land too after all, and they'll be on it long after we are not. Another challenge has been invasives, primarily autumn olive, multiflora rose, and barberry. About 15 years ago, a virus helped us tremendously with the multiflora rose, but the autumn olive requires herbicide applications repeatedly for several years. We mow the wineberry and the blackberry, but it's painful to do so as we cannot mow during the spring and summer while protecting the nesting ground birds and the creps. And that means we can only get to them when they're big and thick and mature, and you need armor for that. The crep plantings have reclaimed that land, though. There's no more mud pits. Eventually, these trees will provide a canopy to prevent those mud pits from ever occurring again. They will provide many wildlife corridors from our forests to those around us while continuing to allow for ranching or other agriculture should some future stewards of this land decide to continue same. We would never have been able to continue this project without the help of the James River Association. Because of deer damage, we were unable to re-up our CREP contracts for over half of our tracts unless we replanted, which would be on our own dime. That would have been a very expensive undertaking, but the JRA came through for us with saplings, tubes, equipment, and volunteer man and woman power. They've continued to support their investment in us by visiting twice a year, once to assess tree survival and invasive burden, and later for replanting. We, my wife, myself, and JRA, hope their further investment in our lands will serve the human and wildlife populations inhabiting them for decades to come. We are so grateful for their past and ongoing support.